Hello everyone, it is March 1st, so it's time for my February recap. I have new glasses. They do not have anti-glare, so they're very glary. So I'm going to try and keep my head up a little bit so maybe it won't be too distracting. So we are going to go over, welcome if you're new here or you're returning. On my channel you will find both paper crafting and cross stitch. So I teach card making, and those will usually say YouTube Live or something like that, Paper Pumpkin. If it says Flosstube, then that's the cross stitch, and that's where we are today. So today I'm going to do my February recap, show you everything I worked on in February, tell you my plans for March. Excuse me. And I have very little haul, which is unusual for me, but very little. We'll show you that. I think that's it. So let's get started. Okay. So these are just miscellaneous projects that I worked on. So the first one is my Heaven and Earth 2026 stitch along. It's Wise and the Brave, and I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. Nope. Okay. That was not first, but that's all right. We'll do it first. This month I did 3,589 stitches, and I did not write down how many total or what that percentage was, but here's where I am. So I am doing the first 2 pages across, and then I'll work down. My goal is to get 6 pages done by the end of the year so I can get all the other stitch along designs. That was my goal last year and I did not make it, so I'm trying to be a little more intentional this year excuse me, about working on it every day. So that's where we are on that one. And I forgot on these full coverage to write down what percentage I am. I'm at 6,000 something, almost 7,000, maybe just at 7,000 stitches complete on that one now. So a little behind where I wanted to be. Excuse me. By the end of February, but hopefully I'll catch up. All right, my second one is Snow Queen. This is by Stitches So Beautiful. I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And I did 1,079 stitches on this one. So this is the one I used for their stitch along, where you have to post at least 250 full crosses every week, and then you get a free pattern. They'll send it to you by email. I don't think I'm going to do March. It's cute. It's a leprechaun, but with all the other things I have going on, I think I'm going to sit 1 month out. And this and my paid sal are both on 28 count, easy count, 1/1 full cross with DMC. All right, and then the other one I worked on just as a random project. This is going to be a burst sampler for my granddaughter. And I did 1,184 stitches on it. And I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And here's where I am. So I worked, I think I worked on the pink and then all of this down here, I believe. So we're getting there. There's still flowers across here, and then I fill in her information there in the middle. She was born the first part of November, so it's time to get it done. All right. And then the last one I worked on, and I worked on this just because I was dog sitting at my son's house up in Northwest Arkansas, and I wanted to just take a small project to work on. So this is Season's Dreams. This is the spring one. It's by Barbara Anna. And I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And this is where I am now. So I did 644 stitches on this in February, and this is on, I think it's Vintage Country Mocha. Let me see, because I had them cut all 4. Yeah, Vintage Country Mocha, 32 count Vintage Country Mocha. I'm going to do all 4 separately, so I had them cut 4 pieces for me. Okay. And then I had a couple of new starts. They don't seem to be right here, so maybe they're at the end after the other whips. And then what I've been doing, well, for 2 months now, is spinning a wheel and then working on that project for 500 stitches and then spinning it again to see what comes next. So that's what these next 7 are. So first was Dressmaker's Daughter. You can hear I have all the beads in there. This is what this one will look like. So I have summer done except for beads, fall partly done. I've been working on spring. I thought about starting winter because it's in the winter, but I decided just to keep working on what I had been working on. So I did 503 stitches on this one. So let me show you the whole thing first. And then I've been working on, this is the spring one. So I've been filling in this lighter in the middle. And then I started doing some of the little flowers around it, because the same color that's in the very middle of this is also the background. And so I thought, well, if I do some of these flowers, then I can also, if I need a bunch of stitches, I can just fill in some background. So that's that one. And this is on the called for, which is, I think, milk chocolate. Yeah, 32 count milk chocolate. And I think, I'm sorry, I don't remember if that's a Zweigart or a Witchelt. And I am putting everything back just so I don't have as big a mess when I'm done. All right, the second one I spun, and I had left that one that I wanted to get some work done, a couple other random ones, and then my winter projects on my list. So this is one of my winter projects. This is Festive Forest by Blue Flower. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. So here's the mock-up of the whole thing, and then we'll make it, I will attempt to make it into that when it's done. But I'm almost halfway done. This was a Jingle Ball class 2 years ago, so in 2024. And it has sad memories. I was working on this when I was sitting with my mom when she was in hospice, so it took me a little bit to get back to it, but while I was sitting with her, I took out the reindeer, I think 3 times. And as I was looking across, his feet are still wrong. This is supposed to go right under these hooves, and it's going to go into them. So I'll have to figure that out when I get there. But so that was the whole thing. And this is on 32 count Valor from Picture This Plus. But I was working over here, so I finished the rabbit, did some flowers, and actually started up the side. So this is the edge of it. So once I fill in this part up here, then it'll be half done. I guess a little bit over half because I have the whole reindeer done. But I'll have to figure out what to do with him since his hooves are still not in the right place. All right, the next one that spun was Frosty Forest. And this is a Country Cottage series of charts. I'll put a picture in of what they're all going to look like together. Let's see if this is the one I'm working on, Snowy Friends. And I did, how much did I do on this? 625 stitches. So let me show you the whole thing, and then I'll show you what I was working on. So that is, I need a bigger board. Everything that I have done. So I have 3, almost 4 done. And then this is the Snowy Friends I was working on down here. Just getting close. I filled in all this snow. So I have some more trees and some more snow. I think that's about it. This is on, hang on, I think I have a card in here that tells me. 32 count pearl gray. And that's what that one's on. And all these winter ones are going away now because the flowers are starting to bloom. It has been warm here in Arkansas lately, in the 70s. My husband and I went to the races yesterday and it was like 75, 77. Okay. Next one that I spun is a new start, so I'll show you that one in a minute. Then it was Shabby Winter Calendar. This is by, I never know how to say her name, Kuri Batakuri. This is not a very good picture. I'll put a better picture in. This one they had, because they printed it on white, all the white stitches they had to show as blue. So it's not a very accurate representation. And I did 603 stitches on this one. So let me show you everything I have done now. So this is everything. So I have 5, almost 6 done. And what I was working on was the snow globe here. So he's almost done. I think I just have to fill in the house or the, yeah, it's a house. I think that's it. So, but, oh, and I have to do the number up in the corner. But that will be coming back out next winter. Unless I decide I want to work on it for some reason, or some game I'm playing has a prompt that makes me want to bring it out. All right, next is Woodland Winter. This is an Autumn Lane Stitchery. I did it when it was a stitch along, and I'll have to put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And I did 540 stitches on this one, and some of them are hard to see. This is on 32 count Twilight by Picture This Plus. That's pretty good. So I worked up here, and you can just see there's some blue stitches in there. There will be some things around it, but some of it I don't think is surrounded. So I think once I get the rest of the stitches in, they'll be okay. So that's that one. But again, it will be going away until next winter. But I'm ready to work on some spring things. I've worked on these ones for 3 months, I think. All right, and then after that is another one of my just projects I wanted to get some work done. So this is Extraordinary Birds. This is Lola Crow. And I'll have to put another picture in of what this one's going to look like when it's done. I did 502 stitches on this one. So I'll show you everything. This is on 32 count Ancient from Picture This Plus. So this is everything I have done. Yeah, that's washing out some. It's a richer gold color. Yeah, it's just not showing up very well. It's hard to get fabric to show up. But what I worked on was down the bottom. So I was working on the pieces as they came out. I did not obviously get my frame done beforehand, but I was working on the pieces as they came out, and now I've decided just to start at the bottom and just work my way up. So I did this little guy, or I stitched him and backstitched. I backstitched these, I backstitched him, and now I'm working on that big dinosaur bird there. So it will stay in my plans, so we'll talk about that when I get to plans, but it will stay out. Okay, that was everything that I spun. Now I had a couple of new starts. One of them was the one I mentioned earlier that I spun, the Winter Biscornu, and I didn't bring that. Oh, maybe it's here. Yeah, this kind of shows you. Whoops, try and get the glare off. So this is another blue flower. This was, shows you a little bit more different. view. This was Jingle Ball from this past year, 2025. And so I have I got the kit. So I have a long piece of, yeah, it's greener than that. Let's see if it says what it is. Pistachio from Fiber on a Whim. So you'll have two pieces if you've never done a biscornu. Get this thread out of the way. So I'm working on the top piece right now, and I did 534 stitches. So you'll have a top square, and then the other half of the fabric will make the bottom square, and then you sew them together. And I have made a biscornu before. It's been quite a few years, but it looks like it would be really difficult, you know, when you look at the shape, but it's really not too bad. All right, and then my other new start, I just wanted to start, sorry, it's at the back, a Valentine one. And this is, I think this was the freebie that we got in our emails. It's Sweetly Sane Valentine's Day Primrose Cottage. So that's what it's going to look like. And I only did 171 stitches on it. So I didn't get very far. That's it. I may actually even, we're babysitting this afternoon for a little while, and I think they might be napping when we first get there. So I might even take it with me to work on a little bit before they wake up. We'll see. Okay. That is everything I worked on. I believe I did 10,571 stitches total for the month. So not bad. It was about 500 stitches less than last month's. But now let's do plans. So now I have my notes over here, so that's why I look down over there. Let me pause you for a second and I will get the other bin and we'll talk about plans. Okay, I'm back. I am doing, instead of spinning a wheel, this time I'm doing in Fandom. It's a new group that I joined. They're doing, I think they're calling it Sondheim 16. It's basically like March Madness with your cross stitch whips. So I picked out 16 whips, and you stitch on them one each day, and then whichever one has the most stitches advances to the next round. So I have my bracket all filled out. Anyway, this way. I don't expect you to be able to read any of that. So we'll see how it goes. So some of these I will have already shown you, and I won't, excuse me, I won't bring them out again. I'll just tell you what it is. And then some of these are the new, not new starts, but spring ones I haven't worked on for a while that I pulled out to work on. So the first day today is Extraordinary Birds, which you just saw. The second day is Seasons Dream Spring, which you just saw. And then the third day is Spring Rolls by Plum Street. I started this years ago. I don't have a card in here for it, but this is what it will look like. Kind of has a little Easter basket in the middle. And this is actually on, mistakenly I got 36 count Confederate Gray. I usually don't do 36, I do 32. And I could go buy another piece of fabric, but I've already started it, so we'll just continue on. I have a magnifier if I need it. So that's all I have done. I think that's just one of the little flowers by the basket. So that is day 3. And I haven't worked on that one for several years. Day 4 is English Garden. This is by Rosewood Manor. I haven't worked on this one for years either. Oof. Let me get it out of here. This is what it will look like. It was part of a series, but I don't know if I ever got any of the others. I don't think it was all Rosewood Manor. I think it was different designers. But this is my starting point. And I don't think I have anything to tell me what this fabric is. This is one I started years ago. before I was really keeping track of anything. But that's where I'll be starting from on that one. Day 4. So it will be up against the spring rolls. So that's kind of how it works. It'll be Extraordinary Birds versus Seasons, Dreams, Spring. And then spring rolls against English Garden. Sorry, I want to be sure I get them all back in there. And then next is Butterfly. It's one I got on Etsy. I think it's from Vlad. Let me see. I have the piece of paper. Oops, not that. Not the chart, although it may say at the bottom. I want to show you the chart. Yeah, Vlada X Stitch. And I don't know that I have... Some of these, I haven't gotten out for a while, so I haven't made cards for them. Oh, it's got on here. It is 32 count slate from Fiber on a Whim. And I think it was something I got, at the Silver Needle when I go to retreats there. They'll give you a free fat quarter as part of your retreat swag. And so I just picked this one up. So I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And this is where I'm starting from. So it's basically flowers that make up the wings of the butterfly. It's so pretty. I'm really excited to work on this. So this one will go up against Dressmaker's Daughter, which you already saw. And man, it's hard to not say, well, I'm just gonna work on this one longer so it can move on because I want to work on it more, but I'll try and play fair. All right, and then next is the Grand Library. I haven't worked on this one for a while either. And I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. And this is also on 28 count, easy count, 1/1 full cross. And I was doing Royal Rose. That's why there's all these parked threads here. This is what I have total. And then I started just working down, and I'll probably start working in some of these threads. And then I've been lately doing the typewriter method from Stitchin' Mommy. And then I just work, down some if the thread goes down. But it's fun to have a parked thread to pick up, but it's hard to stitch, for me, it's hard to stitch around the other parked threads, so probably won't be parking much anymore. All right, and that is going to go up against these monthly Quakers. So I have finished March, I believe. I'm currently working on September. Don't ask me why. Probably when I started it, it was September or August, but let me show you. This is what it's going to look like. As purple is my favorite color. And this is where I will be starting from. So pretty good. I think I have, I have a big motif in this corner, a big motif in the middle, and then a flower coming in. So there's still a good amount of stitching. It's not going to get done this month, I don't think. But I tried to add to my list some things that I haven't worked on for a while that, I'd like to get some things done. So that will go up against Grand Library. It will probably win just because Amy Stewart Designs have a lot of confetti, and so it takes a while to get some stitches done. All right, so that's the first half. Then the second half of the Sweet 16. So we're just starting with 16. We're not starting with 64. Although I have enough I could have. All right, so day 9 is Siren and the Shipwreck. This is a Mirabilia. This is what it will look like when it's done. And this is on, I think it's the called for Sea Lily. Yeah, 32 count Sea Lily from Witchelt. And it feels like the Dressmaker's Daughter one, so that's probably a Witchelt also. And this is where I'll be, I can just fold the fabric up. Maybe. This is where I'll be starting from on this one. No, can't see the bottom very well. There we go. Now I don't do any of the beading till the end. I will do Kreinig, but I don't know if I've added any. No, I haven't added any on this one. But I'll wait until the end to do the beading. So that one is going to go up against Butterfly Garden, which is from Drawn Thread. That's when I started years and years ago. This is what it will look like when it's done. And I'm over halfway. Let me see if I can just fold this back. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a card, so I'm not sure what this is either. But this is what I have done. Excuse me. Having trouble holding things today. So I'll be continuing on this side. So the house is the middle. So I'm that much past the middle. And this has a lot of specialty stitches in it. All the flowers pretty much are specialty stitches. So that's kind of fun. It's something different. So that will go up against Siren and the Shipwreck. All right, and next is another one I'm really excited to work on. I haven't worked on it for a while. Well, get back in there. And this is Butterfly Cloche from Hello from Liz Matthews. And this is what this one will look like when it's done. And I am doing this on 32 count Bramble from Picture This Plus. And this is all I have done. One side of one butterfly. But I'm really excited to work on it again, so I kind of hope it wins. We'll see. It is going to be going up against the monthly minis from Primrose Cottage. So I've done quite a few of them. I have some that are stitched but not fully finished, and I have quite a few that are fully finished. But this is May that I'm working on right now. So this is what the whole set looks like. And I have two more, I think, to finish after this one. This one is on 32 count Heartland from Picture This Plus. None of my things are ironed. I don't iron them till I'm done. So that's a little bit better. But that's where I am on that one. So it's still got a ways to go. Not a ways, but I've got to do all the ones on the outside. And then I think I still have to do February and March, maybe? I think those are the other two I haven't done. And this series will probably stay in my plans until I finish the last ones. All right, so that one is going up against the Butterfly Cloche. Next is Spring Garden from Jeanette Douglas. This is, I went to a class at my LNS. And so we got the patterns for all of these. And finishing supplies. And so the one I'm working on is this one that can be made into a drum. Somewhere in here, there it is. And this is on, I think it's a 36 count. Yeah, 36 count Valley Forge from Needle and Flax. And I'm getting there. This one I might actually finish, depending on how much time I have on that day to work on it. Because see, you can see Z over here. So it's almost done. It's been fun, even though it is on 36 count. All right. So that one, and if if it wins and I finish it, I'll just start one of the other projects that were in that class. That one is going against, this was a market exclusive years ago. It's called Daisy is what I call it. But it's from Rovaris. I think that's how you say it. And so I have whatever fabric it called for. I don't have it listed. But I am working on this that's gonna go in the little bucket. And I think I even have the bucket. So this is where this one will be starting from. It's a pretty good, yeah, it's a little bit greener than that, but not bad. So that was the one that's gonna go against the Spring Garden from Jeanette Douglas that I just showed you. This was the first bag I ever made. Not very good, but it's functional. All right, and then the last two, this one, sorry, just shook the table. You've seen in the past, I've been working on it, but I didn't work on it. It didn't get spun in February. This is Nature's Journey. This is by Sprouting Lupine. And I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. It was a 4-part series in the Just Cross Stitch magazines in 2025. So I started with spring because that was the first one that was released. And this is on 32 count vellum from Picture This Plus. My LNS didn't have the, I think it's a Bee Stitch Me it was called for. So spring is close. There's still some more over here to do. But then when it got spun, when I was working on it in winter, I started down here on the winter. And then it didn't get spun in February, but it will be, it's project number 15 and my 16 for this March Madness. And it will be going up against one that I haven't worked on in years also. It was fun to pull out some of these spring ones that I haven't worked on in forever. All right, let me find it's by Hands On Design, and I should have a picture in here. Well, yeah, this big one. So this was a whole series and set, 2020. So it's these well-rounded. So I'm going to be working on this one. I've already finished these two, and I'll be working on this one. And again, and I got the whole kit. So I have fabric and pins and trim and everything I need to finish it. So let me show you the two that I already have done. So sweet. There's that one. And I'm not sure. All right, so this is probably, I would guess this is chocolate milk, even the, oh no, it's vanilla latte. There, I see now. Vanilla latte, chocolate milk, Spanish moss, and Valerian steel. I would guess this is the, yeah, I would guess this is the vanilla latte fabric for the spring ones. This is the other one I have finished. These were really fun. Like I said, it's been years. I mean, it's probably been since 2020 since I worked on these. And then this is the last one that I'm working on. So that's the last of the spring ones. And I don't know who I want to win this one because I really want to work on Nature's Journey, but it would be fun to get this one finished and start on the summer. So this is another one, like my monthly minis, that I'll probably keep in my plans until I finish them. I've had them obviously for years. I have all the finishing stuff. I need to just get them finished. Okay, that's all my whips, all my plans. We'll see. Sorry, I'm reaching my haul, my little bit of haul. We'll see how much I get done on those. And so if you're not familiar with March Madness, my family is a huge sports family. We watch, I mean, we love March Madness. My youngest son was so upset when they had to cancel it in 2020. But we fill out brackets. I mean, it's a big thing in our household. But what happens is whichever one gets the most stitches moves on to the next round. So then you have a round of 8. Then those move on into the final 4, it's called. So you have a round of 4 and then the championship game, and then you'll have a winner. So we'll be doing this for 31 days for the month of March. So they have it figured out so it works out so that I guess the 31st day you just stitch on the one that won. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. So that's what I'm using for my plans this month, just in case you weren't familiar with this whole March Madness stuff. All right, and so my only haul is this. I'm on an auto ship from the Silver Needle to get these Year in the Woods 2 from Cottage Garden Samplings. So this is a bobcat. I love him. And then I did pick up the spring Just Cross Stitch magazine. That's it. That's all I got. I mean, I think I bought some thread for something, but that's not exciting to show you. So, all right. Well, that is it for this Flosstube. Thank you. So it was Flosstube number 75. I always forget to tell you what number it is, and you may not care. Yes, Flosstube number 75. So I will try this. Like as I said, this is March 1st. I'll try and get this uploaded and published out there for y'all to see. Thank you for joining me. Bye.